Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Lord of Misrule from LUSH. If you have tried to love LUSH's karma but it was too much of a patchouli-fied sack of hippie oranges for you, you may like Lord of Misrule. They don't smell similar exactly, but they have that same overwhelmingly extra LUSH vibe that smells like the whole store's inventory in a 5 ml bottle. Lord of Misrule is a peppery amber which leans much more sweet than spicy and dries down to an underbaked vanilla muffin. I wonder what the soggy pastry and the woo-woo patchouli bomb would smell like layered. I will report back. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Absinth by Nasomatto is bitter mosses, sinister greenwood smoke, and herbaceous aromatic wormwood. It's a nose-jarring scent at first sniff, as if the neon punk poet Green Fairy quit the hedonism and decadence of bohemian Paris to live amongst the stoic ancient woodland dryads. Their philosophies clashed wildly at first, and they didn't get on well initially, but eventually they formed an uneasy alliance. Absinth is a softly surreal, slightly subversive fever dream of a scent conjured from the best of both their worlds. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Tokyo Mik Arsenic. This scent brings to mind a bouquet of fresh-cut marjoram, which in turn reminds me of Christmas when I was a little girl. This is because when I first sniffed fresh green marjoram, its delicately sweet, floral, piney, vaguely musty aroma summoned forth from memory the worn cardboard box of Avon Christmas ornaments that we'd haul down from the attic and dust off every year for the holidays. So perhaps in the vein of how Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie by some, Tokyo Mik's Arsenic is for me the pinnacle of the winter holiday season, which is why I'm reviewing it a few days before the spring equinox, because that makes sense. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Dune from Christian Dior is a misty, windswept shore, lonely paths lined with bracken, gorse, and heather leading to treacherous cliffs where there lurches a corrupt and crumbling old inn, the sort of lodgings preferred by smugglers and murderers, a place where dead men tell no tales. Perfume critic Luckyscent believes that true, menacing darkness is found in this fragrance, and that it's a strong contender for the bleakest beauty in all perfumery. My creepy goblin heart is dreadfully influenced by this sort of hyperbole, and after reading that over a decade ago, I had purchased a bottle within milliseconds. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Messe de Minuit from Etro. I wouldn't recognize the incense of a holy Christmas mass, as I'm a heathen who doesn't attend, but I love how the sanctified sourness of this perfume's musty, papery heart reminds me of the shadowed corner of a used bookstore, of towering piles of moldering pages stacked on sagging and rotted wood shelves, a corner that hasn't seen sunlight in years, books that are touched by human hands rarely, if at all. It's not a particularly healthy scent, but no one ever accused me of having healthy interests. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Mississippi Medicine opens with an astringent, peppery cypress grove, circling dreaming shadows warmed by an acrid campfire, crackling with aromatic pine and birch, dry papery grasses, and scorched spruce leaves. As the flames darken, dull, and turn to ash, the sleepers stir and stretch. There is the scent of herbaceous, woody incense, strange, smoke-scented hair upon waking, and vague visions of descending into the wildness of memory, dancing and divining with ancestors, and having been part of rituals older than you can imagine. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Milk Musk from Molton Brown is exactly what it says it is, an uncomplicated, creamy, milky musk. It's soft, but not so faint it fades into nothing, and the vanilla and resins give it a subtle richness, but it is never cloying or powdery. When I was a little girl, I read stories about frightened children who were given warm milk before bedtime. I was always disappointed with the repulsive reality of the stuff, but this lovely scent recalls the nostalgic hope for the dreamy deliciousness of that sleepy, cozy treat. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Heeley's Sel Marin conjures a dim-lit sea cave, illuminated by phosphorescent crystals clinging to salt-crusted walls. mossy rocks worn smooth by time and tides and the wind, which echoes eerily through the subterranean stone chambers. Bits of driftwood and seaweed and small animal bones litter the damp chamber floor. A sea priestess lays dormant, waiting for a dark ritual to summon her forth from her ancient, dreamless slumber. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Sycomore from Chanel's exclusive collection is a fragrant chorus of cool autumn foliage, rich mossy soil, soft smoke, and damp greenery. All of the best smells of a forest ramble in late October, with the promise of winter heard in the whispering flutter of a straggling sparrow migration. But the hiker on this path is garbed in expensive elegance, a leather Prada bag, a silk Hermes scarf, that iconic Burberry checked coat. This is the scent of a woodland elf turned posh socialite, Galadriel, who quit the forest and is now living in a penthouse on the Upper East Side. Tonight on Midnight Stinks, Willow and Water from Library of Flowers. A pretty floral musk that's a little green, a bit cool and watery, and probably mostly forgettable, save for the memories it evokes for me. It is an exact dupe, and I'm dating myself here, of the Revlon Outrageous shampoo that I used in the mid to late 90s. It had an extraordinary fragrance that made my layered Rachel cut smell amazing, but it was cheap as hell and so bad for your hair.